Waking you up to the UAE's conversation. This is Talk Breakfast with Vivek, Sanil and Sobia Khan on Talk 100.3.
Into the second hour of Talk Breakfast on Talk 100.3. Good morning. कैसे हैं आप? And I hope कि आप अपने work environment में mentally और physically बिल्कुल आ चुके हैं. हम तो कल से ही आगे थे आप लोगों के साथ. And of course इस घंटे की शुरुआत होगी. Guest से already हमारे साथ on hold हैं. कुछ ना कुछ inspiration, कुछ ना कुछ encouragement आपको जरूर मिलेगी इस बातचीत से.
Oh yes, और थोड़ी देर पहले आपसे कहा था कि चिराग गुप्ता हमारे साथ होंगे, मैनेजिंग पार्टनर एट एक 8x वेंचर्स. DeepTech वेंचर कैपिटल फर्म है and he invests in startups that will lead disruptive technological innovation. और उनके portfolio of startups are anyways creating sustainable value to industries and economies. Interesting conversation. You have any questions? Do send it to us.
That's right. I hope we'll be able to ask. हमारे अपने इतने सवाल हैं विवेक, तो फिर हमारे लिसनर्स की बारी कब आएगी, लेकिन कोशिश करेंगे कि all in all जो important information है वो हम शेयर कर सकें. चिराग of course उनसे बातचीत का सिलसिला स्टार्ट करते हैं right after this.
This is Talk Breakfast with Vivek, Sanil and Sobia Khan on Talk 100.3.
So Chirag Gupta very much on air with us. Good morning, Chirag. Thank you so much for hanging on. How are you doing today?
Good morning, Sobia. I'm doing fantastic. It's an amazing morning. And I was listening to the radio talk about the big moon. Super excited about it.
Super moon. And
Yes.
what a day you are associated with us today.
Yes, and I hope that there's some super fruits. And right now, the super questions that are coming to our mind, starting with, now Chirag, what is deep tech? And if you could share a few examples for our listeners to understand it better.
Absolutely, Sobia. So deep tech is basically, it's just a fancy word, but it's basically where business meets complex technology. And generally, deep tech companies use technology as their sustainable competitive advantage, aka moat. And it's not the marketing dollars that makes a difference. So, and that's where the deep tech startups differentiate themselves from all other startups, because the technology itself is the moat. And there are a lot of buzzwords right now that people are talking about, like brain-computer interface, energy storage, quantum computing, robotics, space tech. All of these and many more qualify as a deep tech. Now, the most interesting thing that I find personally interesting is that the impact of the deep tech, often it makes a difference to how the industries operate as a whole. And I can give you a couple of examples on that if that's okay.
Yes, please.
So there are two interesting examples that comes to mind. One is in Cincinnati, there are about 90 streets where authorities have installed the sound sensors, and the authorities are informed about the gunshots even before anyone dials 911.
Wow.
So that kind of expedites the entire process.
मतलब ये साउंड से ही पता चल जाता है पहले.
Exactly.
Wow.
So the based on the sound, the authorities know that they immediately get a notification कि exactly कहाँ पर एक gunshot हुआ है, and they need to react.
Fantastic.
Wow. Instant response team ready.
Absolutely. There's another interesting example where we have invested as well. So there is a company called startup called Solinas in India, and what they do is they can predict कि पानी की पाइपलाइन में जो अंडरग्राउंड पानी पाइपलाइंस होती हैं सड़क के नीचे, उसमें लीकेज कब होगी और कहाँ पर होगी.
ये तो बहुत जरूरी है. इतने बर्स्ट होते हैं स्पेशली इन इंडिया, एंड यू नो इतना वाटर लॉगिंग. राइट.
Absolutely. So their key customers, public clients, are actually the Indian government, and अभी ये लोग तेलंगाना में और मुंबई गवर्नमेंट के साथ प्रोजेक्ट कर रहे हैं already. And it's amazing because they can predict. And the challenge is that typically the deep tech solutions जो आप install करते हो, there is a lot of hesitation from the government and even the existing workforce. तो जैसे हम जो सिंसिनाटी की बात कर रहे हैं और जो फॉरेन आर्ट्स की बात कर रहे हैं इंडिया में, there is a lot of backlash कि ये क्यों करना है, इसकी जरूरत नहीं है, because eventually a lot of people may lose jobs or they have to reskill that. So deep tech often have the impact that the पूरी industry transform हो गई है और आपको लोगों को reskill करना है. Very often a lot of people have a hesitation that I don't want to reskill. Correct. And that's a typical indication that this is a deep tech solution.
Fantastic. Chirag, like you said, many people losing their jobs. However, there are industries flourishing at the same time. So, would like to know what is your take on that? Like, for example, logistics, pharmaceuticals, edtech, they've been key industries in recent years. But which industries you think are flourishing in recent times and have excellent scope in the future?
Absolutely. So you provided three great examples: logistics, pharmaceutical, and edtech. So uh, I will actually use similar three clusters of industries. First is the mobility segment, which includes logistics and mobility of humans. There's a lot of research happening on the EV space, eVTOL, which is like a drone in simple language, hydrogen, and a lot of other alternative fuel or alternative energy around that. That is the first segment, which is like a logistics space. Second, you said in your word, you were saying pharmaceutical. I would broaden this and say health tech and biotech पे बहुत research हो रहा है, and there is a lot of work that has been done. But the interesting thing about health tech, biotech, की solutions तो ready है, technical readiness है, but the market is not ready to accept a lot of solutions. So, for example, you can actually do a surgery remotely for someone who's like 2,000 kilometers away from you, and like a surgeon can do a surgery on that. And the technology exists right now.
With the robots, you mean?
With the robots.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
Wow.
Chirag.
मतलब वो जो हाथ शेकिंग वाला सीन्स होते हैं वो बिल्कुल भी नहीं होगा. I mean, you have eliminated all human errors.
Exactly. But the interesting thing about the entire health tech and biotech is technology to hai, but the acceptability of the technology
Trust.
is very low.
The trust factor,
Like,
right? Yeah.
Even when I go to a hospital, मुझे तो डॉक्टर देखना है, मुझे रोबोट नहीं देखना है.
Correct.
Yes,
even
for
though
sure.
वो proper diagnose करेगा, वो proper बताएगा, even though we don't trust that, right?
But then there must be
Exactly.
something, if this is the issue, then the awareness or, the work towards that, building that trust must be going on, Chirag.
Absolutely. So a lot of work is right now happening in the developed parts of the world, for example, US and certain parts of Europe as well. So वहाँ पे the acceptability has started to shoot up. But if you talk about countries like India or some of the developing nations, where यहाँ पे doctors तो available हैं, the quality may not be very good for doctors in certain parts of India or certain parts of Pakistan. The quality may not be good, but the doctor मिल जाता है. So right now there is a lot of mental shift that is needed, that is going to happen.
All right.
And there is a lot of research that is already available. So that's the second cluster that exists, health tech and biotech.
Superb. In fact, Chirag, as the managing partner at 8X Ventures, I have to ask you this, business ventures काफी लोग जो है अपने घरों में, garages में जो है ना शुरू कर लेते हैं, लेकिन आगे जाके as a business owner, as a founder, how do they sustain that idea,
Actually, that's a very interesting question. So, almost सारे ही businesses home या garage से शुरू होते हैं. Of course, there are some solutions जिसमें काफी lab वगैरह चाहिए होती है, तब आप नहीं कर सकते home या garage में. And hopefully, you are not building hydrogen labs in home, so that because that will be explosive. But
right.
But most of them are homes and garages. But the interesting part is now the entire incubations, accelerators, co-working spaces, they are very pervasive. आपको हर सिटी में कोई ना कोई इंक्यूबेटर, एक्सेलरेटर, अगर आप यूएई की बात करें तो यूएई में there are more than 200 accelerators / incubators right now.
Wow. Google करे तो मिल जाएगा.
हाँ जी, इनका सारा इंफॉर्मेशन मिल जाएगा. And these are the institutions that are helping startups come out of the home and garage, talk to other people in real life and see other people and learn from each other. So generally, I would say कि जो आपने पूछा कि होम और गैराज के बाद बाहर कैसे निकलेंगे, तो जो बाहर निकलने का तरीका है, जो सेफर और जो मोर प्रोटेक्टेड एरिया है, वो है आप इंक्यूबेशन में चले जाएं, एक्सेलरेटर प्रोग्राम में चले जाएं, या फिर आप किसी कोवर्किंग स्पेस में चले जाएं, जैसे कि वीवर्क वगैरह है.
करेक्ट. एंड एक इकोसिस्टम बनाया भी है यूएई ने टू डेवलप द स्टार्टअप्स एज वेल, गिव देम दैट अपॉर्चुनिटीज एज वेल, सो दैट वे ग्रेट. इनफैक्ट चिराग, ये तो मतलब सिंस आप वेंचर कैपिटल फर्म के मैनेजिंग पार्टनर हो, what are the things you look for before you start funding a business? Because you are that financer, you are the one who takes those.
वो चिराग में जो रोशनी है वो आपसे मिलेगी.
So this is a very interesting question, and I can talk for like probably hours and days. But let me try to summarize this one.
Okay.
So इसमें 3 steps रहते हैं हम लोग, because now we focus a lot on the deep tech space. So there are 3 steps. First step हमारे लिए रहता है, we look at the technical maturity and the market readiness of the solution. For example, जैसे हम लोग अभी health tech और biotech की बात कर रहे थे, काफी solution का technical maturity है, लेकिन market readiness नहीं है. So for us to even consider investing in a startup, उसमें दोनों चीजें होनी चाहिए, टेक्निकल मैच्योरिटी होनी चाहिए और मार्केट रेडीनेस भी होनी चाहिए. और एटलीस्ट देयर हैज टू बी अ क्लियर प्लान फ्रॉम द स्टार्टअप कि टेक्निकल मैच्योरिटी कैसे अचीव करेंगे, मार्केट रेडीनेस अचीव कैसे करेंगे. ठीक है, तो ये तो बेसिक क्वालिफाइंग क्राइटेरिया हो जाता है हमारे लिए.
Okay.
उसके बाद वी हैव आवर ओन प्रोप्राइटरी वेंचर इवैल्यूएशन मेट्रिक, जिसमें वी लुक एट द वैल्यू प्रोपोजिशन दैट द स्टार्टअप इज क्रिएटिंग, वी लुक एट द इंडस्ट्री की अट्रैक्टिवनेस क्या है, वी लुक एट द एग्जीक्यूशन स्ट्रैटेजी क्या है, वी लुक एट द टीम एंड द स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ द टीम एंड द कोहेसिवनेस ऑफ द टीम एंड ऑल द अदर फैक्टर्स दैट यू कैन इमेजिन, एंड वी विल गो वेरी 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 डीप इनटू द वैल्यू प्रोपोजिशन, इंडस्ट्री अट्रैक्टिवनेस एंड एग्जीक्यूशन स्ट्रैटेजी टू नो एवरीथिंग दैट वी कैन आस्क.
So would be time staking a procedure, Chirag? It would take time that, reading and going through all these key points that you have
and the requests,
mentioned.
Yeah.
Absolutely, it's a very very thrilling exercise. Because it's a money business. अगर आप लोन भी लेने जाते हैं बैंक से, तो बैंक भी आपको 800 डॉक्यूमेंट्स मांगता है और हर डॉक्यूमेंट बनता है. तो हमारे लिए तो ज्यादा रिस्की है कि ये लोन नहीं है. दिस इज इक्विटी एंड द कंपनी माइट क्लोज डाउन.
Correct. Yeah.
Makes sense.
For us, we are taking a very big risk based on the founder or technology or the market. अगर बिजनेस क्लोज होता है तो सबसे पहले नुकसान हमारा होता है. जिसका लोन होता है उनको पैसे वापस मिल जाएंगे.
करेक्ट.
और इट इज अ पार्ट ऑफ इट, वी विल नॉट गेट एनीथिंग.
राइट. तो आप अभी ट्विटर में कब इन्वेस्ट कर रहे हैं? एलॉन मस्क तो बैकआउट कर लिया उन्होंने.
नहीं, ट्विटर छोड़े, क्रिकेट टीम में कर लिया. But I have to say, Chirag, not just providing the financial backup, but आपकी consulting talent भी आज हमारी इस conversation में सुनाई दे रहा है. However, I'm not sure how keen you'll be, but what's the right way and the fastest way so people can get in touch with you who have brilliant ideas and they're looking for equally brilliant team to start up?
So I am personally very active on LinkedIn. Out of all the social media, which I cannot track, LinkedIn is something where I am almost always available. And we have an email ID which is pitch@8xventures.co. So any email that comes on that email ID, वो टीम बहुत ही डिटेल्स में पढ़ते हैं हम लोग और उसको रिव्यू करते हैं for every startup.
Superb.
Fantastic, Chirag. All the very best. And उम्मीद करते हैं कि आपके नाम के साथ आप भी बहुत सारी उम्मीदों का चिराग बन जाएं. And we'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much once again.
Thanks, Vivek. Thanks, Sobia. Have a good day.
You
Cheers.
too. सुनते रहिए टॉक ब्रेकफास्ट स्पोर्ट्स अपडेट.
Talk 100.3 Sport.
In football, Erik ten Hag enjoyed a winning start as Manchester United manager as 3 first-half goals set up his side for an impressive 4-0